Hello friends, Wurps here with the Advanced Monster Guide for R.E.P.O. I will try to cover as many small tricks, strategies, the important numbers relating to the monsters such as their health or damage profiles you may have to be aware of, effective weapons against them, all that stuff, how to manipulate them. We're going to start with the clown here. So this is the kind of one-size-fits-all monster bashing technique with medium props. I prefer the clown doll for this one because you can also use it afterwards as an explosive. As you can see there, the direct impact only did 10 damage, but these like heavier impacts the monster's taking as it gets bashed into the ground is hitting for 25 or 30, which is a fairly large portion of the damage. So make sure you're not just bashing them, you are also crushing them. There are also 3 states a player can be in, either standing, crouching, or crawling. Crawling is when you are crouching, but you can't stand up. So if anything is blocking your ability to stand up, if you're like next to something in some cases, it can even be considered crawling. You will notice your FOV drop if there's an item hovering above your head, either you holding it there, or they're just, being something there, like a table, a bed is the intended way it's supposed to happen. But all of these states have a different modifier for how far away a monster can see you in their cone of vision. And different monsters have different stats. Some of them are very bad at seeing crawling, for example, and you can hide from them like a foot away. The cone of vision length also varies, so you would be surprised at how blind some of these monsters actually are if you hide from them. Even by crouching, you're making yourself extremely difficult to see. Even if the monster is looking directly at you from like 15 feet away, crouching might make that into 10 feet of visible distance in front of them. Clown's vision is not very good, and he is fairly predictable. You do have to watch out. His laser can change angle if the person he's aiming at crouches before he starts firing it. So keep an eye on his little antenna, and you can see which trajectory it's going to go. This guy has 250 max health, and he will do 50 damage to you base if he kicks you, plus whatever impact damage you will suffer as a result of being knocked across the room. His laser does a ton of damage, but is pretty easy to duck. Overall predictable. This thing is Upscream, strange name, does 10 damage and throws you away. He has 50 health and is very annoying unless you have a small object around to punch him with. You just scroll the mouse wheel out and bop him. Classic strat, works really well on these guys. This is the Spewer. It has 75 health, does 10 damage per landed tick of vomit on you, but you can just kill it with the mouse wheel scroll punching technique with items, which is a very useful technique for many things in the game, including looting, opening objects such as lockers, chests, all that stuff. Now, the Spewer can also attach to you and will force you to vomit intermittently, randomly, on whatever you're looking at, so don't look at your teammates or your items. It does do damage to enemies, and the damage isn't bad. It's still 10 damage per tick. Does a lot of ticks. However, kind of hard to use because you don't know when it's going to happen. It can kill things, but don't depend on it. If you have nothing on hand, you can tumble into them. If you do it fast enough, it'll do 15 damage. This is the Reaper, aka the Scarecrow, and this is a very threatening enemy. Despite being almost blind, it is extremely powerful, and once it gets going, it will deflect items and weapons. So you kind of can't botch your opening strike against this thing. You really need to stunlock it as well, or it's going to cause problems. Now, in the beginning of this clip, missed the first hit, but I did manage to drag the item through the back of the enemy, which will probably be something you will have to do sometimes if you don't want to just completely disengage. Now here's an example of a poor engagement where it sees me and it managed to knock the item out of my hand. At this point, just hide, just reset. It's got 250 health, pretty common health line, does 10 damage per slash, of which it has many, and here it takes 2 gunshots to kill. Now the gunshots do also rely on triggering the heavy impact damage as well as the shot damage to actually kill it. So if those don't trigger for some reason, it might survive and actually need a third shot. There's a few different weapons against the Reaper. First off, the sword using the walk forward and unsheath technique. It immediately got knocked out of my hand. Here's the frying pan, does 15 damage. Much worse than the sword's 50, and the sword isn't even that good because it has no stun. So it's really only good for killing small things that are already easy to kill. The bat, though, look at that extra damage from all the impacts it's taking. The bat is definitely the best of the cheapo weapons. The shotgun, unsurprisingly, does a lot of damage. So overall, just try to ambush it before it can start attacking, and hide if you need to. It's pretty blind. Now for Robe, very strong enemy. Does have this noise. And a few other variations, basically a crying baby. I got super lucky to actually catch that on a clip. That's the first time I've ever seen it when I was trying to record these. Robe has 250 health, will kill you instantly with its normal melee attack, and will darken your screen when it's chasing you like that. It also has a crouch down attack to try to get you when you're hiding under things. It has an extremely long range, and it does 50 damage. He's very difficult to actually survive if you run into him in like a small hallway, and you have to have something to hide under. If you're in a dead zone, you're dead. It's as simple as that. This guy is vulnerable to a few things, such as the usual medium prop, just bashing. You can also crack open a cold can of propane and roast him. This works on pretty much all enemies but Trudge because he has too much health. This kind of barely kills a 250 health enemy, but it's a good strat. I would just use the normal medium prop bashing that I showed against other monsters. This was from an earlier clip. Look at that right vent. You can see that dust cloud. I don't know if this is a bug. I think it is. Not 100% sure, but he can for some reason go invisible, which is pretty strong when he's already dead silent. As for the hidden monster, this is the Invisible Man. Here, have a listen. He will make those noises and approach with those little footsteps on the ground and kidnap you, and he will take you somewhere else. I've had these take me to the truck, and I've had them take me into a horrible basement dungeon guarded by a herd of headmen. So your results will vary. If you have a teammate that's being kidnapped, you can grab them out of his hands to save them, which is pretty nice. They're overall just a nuisance, but if in combination with some other enemies, could get you killed. Now for the Apex Predator, aka the Ducky. This guy, if you left click him, will enrage. If you impact him with physics, also enrage. You can tumble him and knock him out of his enraged form, though if you miss, you will suffer. There are a few other ways to deal with them, aka roast a duck via flamethrower. If whoever the duck starts to follow walks up to the extract as it's selling, you can get rid of the duck that way. And you can just shoot him. Now, as you could see there, the gun did 100 base damage plus 25 on impact, and then it took the extra 25 damage from the second impact damage tick to actually finish him because he has 150 health. So they can survive a single gunshot if the angle isn't right. Aim to like blast them away with it. And you can also circle strafe them like that. Gnomes. Gnomes aren't that dangerous alone. You just toss them. It's even satisfying. They will try to break your items and kill you. They are very dangerous if you're on 1 health. But they are most dangerous when combined with other enemies that you actually have to hide from or stop because they will cause issues. Rugrats are simple. They are a baby and they run around, pick stuff up, and throw it at you. Super dangerous, but also easy to kill. Just get a friend or two and slam them. Bangers. The little skulls with bombs. They will see you, ignite their fuse, and then follow you around. If you pick them up and give them 2 good slams and then toss them, they should die from impact damage due to their 50 health. But they're pretty much just an annoyance. Throw them away, throw them down pits. Pretty simple. Here I'm about to be ambushed by Chef, the frog. A pretty easy enemy, does a little wind-up animation, and then leaps at you, dealing 10 damage per tick while he spams his little cleavers. He is pretty simple to deal with using the classic punch him with a small object technique, has 150 health, and can even be stunned by the small objects, even though he has so much health. So he's pretty simple. You can bait him to jump off of cliffs. You can dodge him pretty easily. He's not that threatening. And this is our marshmallow friend, Bowtie, on account of his bow tie. His attack is to turn into a big fan of Airman. He will push you and anything around off of any cliff nearby. It also does damage, as you can see when I turn off God mode here for a bit. This is pretty dangerous, especially if you get caught up against a wall like this, and he will destroy your props. With only 100 health, he dies in 1 shot. Pretty easy to take out. He likes to stomp off after he does his little blow, so you'll have to go find him. And this is Peeper. He is a giant ceiling eye that waits for a victim to come in range and then forces them to look at him. You can kill him with a gun or a melee weapon if he's low enough and you do a jump stab. He's more of a nuisance when there's other enemies around, as he is extremely debilitating and will start taking you for 2 damage per second if you do not break line of sight using an object or get behind a wall. You can also have a teammate come and rotate you after you press Q, or just have them carry you away to safety. You can occasionally see the upper part of these if they're on a ceiling that's downstairs. This is the Shadow Child, 150 health, and if you look at it too long, it will deal 30 damage to you and yoink you towards it, which can cause larger problems. Your screen will visibly darken if you are looking at it to let you know you need to look away. It's pretty easy to just sidestep or backstep up to these and start hitting them. This gets stunned by even the smallest props, so if you just wanted to make it go away, you can hit him with that. Sledge one-shots him. This is the Huntsman, the blind guy with a gun that is insanely accurate. Now, if you are not hosting and your ping is not perfect, he does shoot a little behind where you are, so you can just sidestep him. But if you're hosting, that's not the case. Mileage may vary. But as you can see here, I am tapping an item on the ground before I hit him with it to make him shoot. So if the item doesn't register very well, I don't instantly die. I do have God mode on here. You can count how many times I die messing around here. It can be an absolute struggle to get melee weapons to actually register how you want them to. Even if you get really meaty hits that make all the sounds and the little sparklies, it's really sus. So I just don't melee these guys conventionally very often anymore, and I've started just throwing my melee weapons at them, which seems to work better, honestly, except that time. And except this time as well. But the Huntsman does 100 damage, will kill you instantly. It can even be across rooms. If he catches you chatting with a friend in a different room, you are dead. He's pretty annoying. You have to crouch around. Nobody can talk. It gets really quiet in the game. Like, nobody can talk without massive risk of immediate death if one of these is seen and you don't kill him. So if you leave him around, it's going to be a quiet lobby. There are ways to kill him. You really just have to ambush him and get a good meat shot in with a medium weight weapon and stunlock him to death. 250 health, takes 2 gunshots. Pray you don't miss. You'll have to get very close to actually make them land for sure. If you miss, he will immediately kill you. I recommend giving all your health away before you even attempt to engage these. So if he does do some crazy 360 no-scope on you, at least you only lost like 11 health. Here's an example of how BS all of this is put together. I knew these gunshots would not have a good chance of hitting, but this is just to show I'm not that far, and my chances of these hitting are abysmal, and he immediately kills me every time. Existence is suffering if one of these are around. He is pretty easy to kill if you do get that first hit in, plus stunlock with a medium weight, valuable, sellable, so it is worth killing him in that case, and I do usually try to do so. I also must mention that the way he blames sounds is strange, and if a duck is following you and it jumps, for example, you made the sound, so he shoots you. Same if you hit him with a weapon or a prop. I suppose his weakness, in quotes, is that when he falls downstairs, he takes 25 damage, and he always falls downstairs if he's going down them, so I guess he'll eventually die. The Animal. These have 150 health, deal 2 damage, and are just a nuisance. They're pretty easy to avoid. You just get on a table, and they can't get you. But they really get in the way. They also have a bit of a combo with a duck because they flail around in such a wide area that their chances of triggering the duck and making it enrage and attack you are pretty high. They also have a passive flailing effect similar to the Reaper, and they will sometimes deflect attempts to hit them with props, causing them to be even more annoying. They do have a very easy way to kill them, though, if you and a friend or two get on a table together and grab them, assuming you have enough range to do so, then you can lift them up together and slam them into the ground repeatedly until they die. They call this thick boy Trudge because he's trudging around. You can stun him and kill him with objects just like most of the other enemies in the game. However, he has twice as much health as the next guy, sitting at 500 health points. you may need multiple items to kill him, unless you have a clown, which has extra value with the explosive part. That is 5 gunshots. He even survives a shotgun blast with like 15% health. He is a beast. He is a unit. And this boy, if he sees you, will initiate the Suck Slam, where he black hole vortexes everyone around, including your teammates hiding under chairs or tables nearby, sucks them in, slams them, 100 damage, they're probably dead. However, he is extremely blind, and if you are sneaking or under something, or are forcing yourself in sneak with an item, he can't see you at all. No matter how close you are, you can actually block him. And it seems if you block his pathing or move him with the cart, he won't attack anymore. I've reported the bug, so hopefully it gets fixed soon. Anyway, you can also zero gravity drone him and lift him up and slam him, which is funny for the 5 seconds that the battery lasts. The Mentalist, aka the alien. This guy will walk up to you and begin his psychic lift thing. You can bait it out and dodge it if you're very fast. You can also interrupt it by knocking him around when he's doing it to save your teammates. You can also just walk up to your teammates that are floating away and grab them and pull them out of the field, which does require you to have a bit of range or them to be on the edge of the field. If they're too far in, you just can't save them. They have 150 health. They will slam you for 50 damage if they can complete their psychic attack, and you can usually kill them in 1 gunshot, but it might leave them with 25 health. Depends how physics is feeling today. Dude is so blind, you can tickle him and hide under a table, and he forgets you exist. No object permanence in that brain. Now for the dreaded Headman. This floating noggin has 250 health, super fast, very aggressive, 50 damage per bite, of which he does rapidly, has a powerful under-table bitey attack. He is a force to be reckoned with, but he cannot see very well. Hiding, crouching, or sneaking is the play, as forcing yourself into sneak here made him miss me even in this situation. He is very hard to escape from, but not hard to hide from. This is slightly closer than you can expect to be spotted. This is the length of their field of vision, and this is also a great way to deal with the Headman. The usual medium prop stun strat is the play. Thanks for watching, like, subscribe, and all that. Watch my other videos. I have more on the channel. Check the pinned comment or description for any updates.